I love your intro. Wow.
Uh, thanks. I'm actually going to update it a little bit more. But for those that don't know, welcome to episode 57 of This Woman Works. I'm your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, I wanted to bring in somebody that I've known for a very long time, somebody that is very into the music scene, brings you the artists that you may not know, but you need to know, and has done a lot of great and wonderful things in that arena in terms of entertainment. That would be Qiana the Goddess. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Meg. How are you? And thank you again for having me here. I appreciate it.
Yes, definitely. I'm doing great. And thank you again for coming on the show. We're going to get into your journey from growing up to getting into the business of media to different obstacles and advice you may have, and then a nice fun game at the end of the show. We're going to
Okay.
get into all that in one moment, but what we're going to do first in this show is we're going to do the Black Girl Magic moment. We do the Black Girl Magic moment with every show. We're basically just, shining a light on Black women and the great, wonderful things they're doing. Usually it's one person that I focus on, but this episode, we're going to focus on a lot of Black women that are
Okay.
actually doing their thing with NFL draft coverage. I mean, and NFL coverage in general. I mean, you got Candy Waller that's covering the Washington Commanders. You got Karita Parks that's covering the Baltimore Ravens. You've got Simone that's doing Philadelphia Eagles content. I mean, you've got so many great, wonderful Black women that are getting the job done. And I
Yeah.
want to take this time to give them some love, show them some respect, and say, hey, we see you, we applaud you, and continue to do your thing. They're doing the thing in media, Kiana, and I got to show
They
them nothing
are.
but the utmost respect.
And not just that, but I'm seeing refs too, like Black women refs. Like I'm so here for it because these were, seats that were not taken by us. So um I love to see the integration. I think that it's important. That's why I love the show that I do because I have a male perspective, a female perspective. It gives you that diversity and it gives you the ability to look at things sometimes through a different lens.
Definitely, and it definitely provides a different angle, different groundbreaking things like you mentioned, and I absolutely love it. I love it, and to me, we talk about so many stories, or people talk about so many stories of Black women, and they don't want to paint Black women in a great light. But on
Yeah.
this show, with this time, we will be painting Black women in a great and excellent light every time we get a chance to.
I'm so here
Um,
and thank
so
you for that because there is more than enough media portrayal that falsifies the Black girl image and the Black woman image. And so it's very important that people like yourself utilize their platforms to really put forth that positivity, you know, um, and let people become more objective about the way that they're thinking and the presentation.
amen to that. Well, of course, yeah, we did kind of spill a little bit going into the media section, but we got to get your story. It's the reason you're on the show is to bring your story and the people to understand and know you and know where to find you. But we can't get into that without learning where you came from, young Kiana. We gotta go there.
Young
Okay,
Qiana.
so where did you grow up?
I grew up on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in New York City. So, New York City girl all day, every day. And from those New York City streets, from that borough, I segued also to running around in Brooklyn, which definitely opened up my street skills and knowledge. And yeah, a New York City born and bred. You heard?
Okay, all right. So so what was it like growing up in New York City? Manhattan, you said, and then a little bit more Brooklyn as well.
Well, I grew up, as many of us do, and in the projects in an underprivileged sort of community and situation, and it was a lot of difficulties. To be honest, I've always had a pretty good zest for knowledge, and because I came from such a dysfunctional household, school ultimately became my sanctuary. So I was the nerdy girl. I was into it. I was the spelling bees. I'd spend my time at the library, and all the time that I could get there to read and absorb, I was in it. And my grandmother, who played a major part in raising me on and off, she was formerly a teacher. So literally her library, I read every book in there. She used to have me doing essays. Fast forward to me as a mother, I have my children doing essays as punishments growing up. I mean, it's lit, because it makes you think about what you're doing and the consequences. So um, it was a different kind of atmosphere for sure, being well spoken and kind of moving a little bit different. I wasn't necessarily accepted by a lot of people around me, but oddly enough, the people that I rocked with back then that were like my aces to this day, we're all in contact. Everybody is just doing amazingly and flourishing. And, sometimes your tribe is just that small, very, very small group of people, but you guys are attracted to each other because of the way you move and because of the way you think. And we all used to think bigger than where we were. I used to go on these walks. If you are familiar with New York City, you know that it is definitely a walking type of scenario. You can walk everywhere. There's stores, there's this and that. And where I grew up, there was a lot of diversity because the projects were right here, but we had co-ops behind us that were mainly like Jewish people. And then, of course, you had your bodegas, you had one store that was owned by a Korean, these that were owned by like the people from Yemen, and then, a lot of Jewish stores over here. You went down the hill, it was more of a Latina community. Um, and then you go further and you're in Battery Park City, right? Or you're in Tribeca. So now you're in a whole new world and a whole new level of money. And that's what I used to do. I used to walk these streets. I'm talking, just to give you an idea, I lived lower than First Street. And I used to walk up to the Midtown area, 34th Street, 42nd Street, 59th Street, right? I used to take the PATH train to New Jersey to check that whole new environment. And so that kind of sparked, my way out, if you will, because I knew I had to get out of there.
Okay. All right. All right. So when you were growing up and taking these walks and just looking at the different neighborhoods and the different, diverse settings, um, what was the first thing you thought about that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Actress and a singer.
Okay. All right. All right. Did you try to carry a tune a few times too?
I mean, I still sing. Don't be surprised when I drop some
I know you
things.
do. I'm just kidding.
I like to keep on a low low, but it's so interesting that I wound up going from fashion because my whole corporate career was really entrenched in the fashion industry, but not in the exciting stuff, like in the quality control and testing. And you know as things kind of came full circle, now I'm interviewing people at fashion shows, like being in the arena that I really always wanted to be in. Although I appreciate all of the scientific knowledge and whatnot that I've gained, because it's just heightened me further and made me understand how to care for the things that I buy and how to really be able to see the difference in quality, right? From something not necessarily something that's even more expensive than another, but really being able to identify, I could feel a fabric and tell what it's composed of, so it made me a beast, and it helped me definitely in understanding how to put together my business and professionalism, keeping records, all of those things. I absorbed as much knowledge as I possibly could. But when it all came full circle, like what I first started going to school for, which was journalism, here I am in media and back in music. And like I'm right here. There's so many things that I could touch and so many people that I can work with. I'm just taking my time. When you've been in working on a career for a long time, you build a lot of allies. If you're a good person, I believe, and you have good work ethic, you build a lot of allies. You might make a couple of enemies, but who cares, right? They're non-factors. But the allies that you build, and I know for me as well, like they're there. Like I can count on people and I can reach out to them just like they know they can reach out to me. So I kind of keep them in my pocket. So like even musically, right? Like when I drop something, it's gonna be something else that people definitely didn't expect. But like I know the right people and I have the right setups to be able to make things happen. So I'm very appreciative of all of that and of the journey and how it's all kind of swayed me right back this way, I believe, where I belong.
Okay. All right. All right. So I do have to ask as well. We do have to get into your career journey as well. So of course, BPR radio, we're gonna get into how that came along. But how did you first kind of dive into the music and media game, and how did you kind of find your love for it?
That's interesting. I know that I was writing for a magazine, and they were an online magazine and a publication called Times Square Magazine. And it's because when I left the fashion industry, which was the economy, was just going crazy and people were losing their jobs. So, I took an L and I was like, okay, what am I going to do from here? And writing has always been at the core of everything that I've done. Like I write my own music, I've written a novel, professionally, I write things for other people, creating their resumes, their bios, marketing materials. It all comes down to that first creative component. And doors just started opening. So one of my biggest first interviews was Shannon Briggs, as I'm sure you're familiar. And I was like, holy crap, right? Like I'm on the phone with this guy. We're having this discussion. And I didn't even know about his journey with asthma, his mom dying, being homeless, right? Like these are like untold stories that we didn't necessarily know when we see, people knocking people out in the ring and just having that respect. And it's like, okay, whatever happened to this person or that person? But you don't understand their pre journey. That's why, again, I'm very appreciative of you kind of spotlighting that for us Black women in our community because it's so very necessary. But that interview really opened my eyes. And then it was just one after another after another. I honestly can't even specifically pinpoint how I started like getting invited to things. I was on in first row of so many different fashion shows, right? Like, and then next thing I knew, I was invited to this music event and it was a VIP invite. I'm looking it over and I'm like, wow. And again, I had made some allies. So I was like, you know what? I should probably try to get a couple of people to go with me because this sounds like a really, really good event. Went into that event. It was a monthly live music event, but it was really comprised of just Caucasian rock and alternative rock artists. But musically, they were on point, and I love that. So because my ear is so in tune and I'm so keen on professionalism, for me, it's all about that presentation, setup, breakdown, how people act when they're on, off the stage, all of that stage presence, the entire bit, as well as remaining on key, how they sound musically, their audio. So I was like, well, this is fantastic, but where the hell is the diversity? So I first approached the team and I was like, you guys should let me be your publicist. And we need to shake this up a little bit. And so, interestingly enough, the two partners had already been battling this for a long time because Brian had a background in hip hop. But John was like so against hip hop and blah, 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 because he had this mindset that it was like gangster rap and this and that. But no, 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 no. We can do this so many different ways. So, next thing you know, we had a partnership with Reverb Nation. We were getting like 5,000, I'm no exaggeration, 5,000 submissions per month from artists. And we were doing the live show every single month and they would come out. We did like 4 to 5 artists tops. It was a one night event on a Wednesday. It was called T-Bame. Shout out to John and shout out to Brian because it was a big part of my journey. And a lot of people that I networked with and that I really formed bonds with are in my life to this day. And we've done things together. They've put me on stages. I've helped them do things. They've introduced me to people. So it really opened a tremendous amount of doors and also put me behind the scenes in a way that I didn't know that I would love so much. So it's different being on stage, right, than it is being off stage. But knowing how to do both and
Mhm.
knowing how to manage both sides, it just makes you a master of your craft, I believe.
Okay. All right. So I do want to ask you, your first ever, I guess, kind of music or writing event or media event. Do you
Hmm.
remember the feelings that came along with that event and what all happened as well?
Yeah, anxiety. Anxiety, so much anxiety. Because if you've ever put together an event or even like a wedding, whatever the case may be, it's a lot. There's many different moving parts, and whatever can go wrong will go wrong. But when you know how to pivot and kind of move on your feet and you've already prioritized and check everything off, events go by so fast. I really couldn't pinpoint to you all of the problems. Every single event I've done, there's been some level of problems and some putting out of fires that I've had to do, whether someone didn't show up or something was going wrong or this person needs that or that didn't go through and we're still waiting on this and this was set up, the mic just fell off, right? Like the timeline has changed. So again, it's just about pivoting and kind of thinking on your feet. I think being from New York City, you learn to move fast and think on your feet. And so that's helped me a tremendous amount. But there is, I'm very meticulous about my planning. So I put so much into the behind the scenes that I'm trying to, not have anything go wrong. But of course, there's always a hundred different things. But at this point, I've learned how to deal with it. I'm like, okay, we know something's gonna go crazy, right? We just keep going with it. That's it.
I hear you there. Now, of course, VPR radio.
Mhm.
And for those that have not checked it out, I need you to look up VPR radio on YouTube or
Yes.
wherever you look at things, the website, anywhere. I need you to go look
Hit
at
that
that.
subscribe.
But I want to know
Mhm.
what's that?
I said, and hit that subscribe, please, and thank you.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Now, I gotta ask, how did VPR radio kind of come about, and what is the mission of VPR radio?
So VPR radio came about because I had begun delving into the radio world. Again, something I was just pulled into. Like, shout out to my boy Dre from Dre's house. He was the first one that asked me to come in and be a co-host. And we were just having a conversation. It was fun, it was enjoyable. And he told me that very day, he was like, "You need your own show." And I said, "Get out of here." Like, nobody's got time to do all of this. He was in a studio. It all seemed very intimidating to me, right? Just the mechanics that went into it. I know what goes into an event. I'm like, an event like this, like every week? Oh, hell no. So next thing I know, this person's asking me to come in and be a co-host. This person's asking me. Then someone asked me to be a co-host, and it became a regular thing. They asked me to come in every week, and I was like, "Well, I can't come here every week for nothing. So let's figure out how we can monetize this and make it work." And so, again, my network of people had grown at that point. So I was bringing on a lot of guests, and it really just grew and grew and grew. Fast forward, when I left there, I was like, I had a whole bunch of an audience that was just waiting for me to do something. Basically, they used to inbox me like, "When are you going to be back on the radio? You left that show? I don't even watch it anymore." And I was just like, "Oh, snap. Okay." I didn't realize like I had built something, like people were really paying attention. So I started thinking, who could I have as a DJ? And the only person in my mind was DJ FMI, who I met at T-Bames when he was an A&R for Convict Music. He used to come almost every month to our event. There were a lot of artists they wound up like working with and signing. So, like I said, it was a very, very successful event that I did a couple of years with these gentlemen, and it really created a lot of the established relationships that I have. And I reached out to him nervously because I'm like, he's an international DJ. I can't come at him like, "Yo, bro, I got 5 grand. You want to, I was coming to him just kind of heart in hand. And he was like, "Let's do it." And we've been rocking ever since. 8 years.
Okay,
So, but I,
nice,
but I
nice.
always
Now,
vibe. He's such a vibe. Shout out to DJ FMI. That's my bro for real. That's family.
now I will say this, for those that aren't aware, convict music, that's Akon, y'all.
Mhm.
That's Akon. You know, if you
Yeah.
did put the name with that one, that's who that is. So that's a big deal. In terms of, being able to reach out to a DJ and A&R for comic music and him being like, okay, cool, I'm down. That's a huge deal.
Yep.
Um, Now I do have to ask in terms of VPR radio, and you said y'all been rocking for like 8 years doing this.
Yeah.
So, what was the one moment you knew you were where you were supposed to be when it came to VPR radio?
Honestly, our first show was so good, and we came into it very green. We were doing it in a Brooklyn basement, which has now been named after Biggie Smalls because it's on his block where he grew up. So it was all very nostalgic and very like, ooh, connected to music. Biggie is my one of top five, So it was all very personal and also very like get it out the gutter. He'd be in the booth sweating.
Mm-hmm.
But our very first show, I didn't book any guests or anything. I said, I want us to just kind of vibe and see how we're going to do this. And it was so natural. It was a 2 hour show and it felt like it was over in 5 minutes. And to be honest with you, that very night, people started hitting me up to get booked, and I was booking 3 months in advance. Like we've never not had a slew of guests since then, and it's definitely a blessing. I don't take that for granted, but T Money, formerly of Yo MTV Raps, he's been on the show record breaking times. He might be on his like eighth or ninth appearance at this point. He's had me come on and be a guest. He told me that we FMI and I, VPR Radio, and our love for what we do and making him feel so comfortable because he got to come in studio as well is what helped him feel encouraged to start his own podcast. So that to me is legendary. We're touching the people that we want to touch and making the connections we want to connect with. And you had asked me, what's our mission? Our mission is to debunk, first of all, what media is putting out specifically about our people, as you do, right? To bring knowledge, to bring positivity, to bring love, and to bring healing. And to do it with great music and to really focus and spotlight on the artists that you haven't necessarily heard of that are about to hit. They always stop at VPR first.
Okay, all right, yeah, definitely. I know there is one artist, and I cannot remember his name. Is it because I remember him seeing him the first time on your show. I
Hmm.
still remember it, and God, his name is escaping me right now. It's was it Fat Bastard?
Oh, Pudgy the Fat Bastard.
Pudgy, Pudgy.
Yeah,
Yes, there we
shout
go. That was the
out to
first time I was.
That's my heart. That's my like bestie. That's my family right there. Love, love, love PTBB. And shout out to DJ Tech One who introduced us, right? Like long-standing DJ and artists across the world. I mean, just so many fabulous people that I am connected with that I'm really, really grateful for.
Yeah, I totally remember that. And then I keep seeing his, I saw his name pop up a couple times on a few things over the years, and I was like, hold up, that's that same guy.
Yeah, he's
And I said that like
legendary.
I don't know
He
how many
was on with
times.
Biggie. He's very good friends with Biggie and with Tupac. He's written for Left Eye, Big Daddy Kane. I mean, so many people and worked with so many phenomenal people. He still works with Sweet Tea, the MC. If you're familiar, one of the first fabulous MCs from the Bronx that we had here. So yeah, tight circle of rotation of amazingness. I think you're frozen, Mike. Okay.
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay, you were frozen for a minute. Now I can see you blinking. Is it me or is it you?
My apologies. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're gonna make it through.
Oh, absolutely. I just
It's
want to make
probably
sure
over here because the internet is quite interesting in this part of the world.
understood.
Okay. Now, of course, with any journey, there's always going to be obstacles, and there's going to be some advice that comes out of those obstacles as well. Now, I have to ask you, along your journey, been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned that helped you get to where you are now?
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that you cannot please everyone and you should not continuously try. Saying no is important for your own mental health, putting up proper boundaries because, I put forth all this love and light into the world, but not everyone is accepting of that. And I remember just growing up, I used to be like, why doesn't this person like me? Or why didn't, now I don't give two hoots, quite frankly, because I know that I'm putting my best foot forward. So if that's not what you see or want to accept, that's on you. Um, but I think, especially being a woman, being a mother, boundaries are important, knowing when to take that time for yourself. Sometimes you need to step back and kind of reassess and reevaluate and just create your own safe space. So, all of those things, which I guess is a lot of advice in one, but yeah. Oh, I think he's frozen again.
It's all good. It's all good. What?
There we go.
All right. As far as everything in terms of your journey, what has been the biggest obstacle that has happened along your journey, and how did you overcome it?
I mean, there's been numerous, from growing up, I was fighting every week, perseverance, quite frankly. Like, I'm always going to land on my feet. That's one thing that I know. And being a mom, being responsible for other human beings, I'm always going to make sure they're good, you know. But I think it's truly my determination. When I was younger, I was determined. When I say fight, I'm talking physically. I used to physically fight girls every week, almost every day, literally. So it was that kind of
Okay.
volatile situation that made me like, I got to get the hell out of here. But at the same time, these girls want to fight. I'm going to show them that they're probably going to want to leave me the hell alone. So, eventually enough of that died down and they were like, she's a little crazy. Leave this girl alone. Now everybody wanted to be cool. Everybody wanted to make nice. So that again is determination, right? Like I was determined not to be a victim. And I'm determined not to be a victim of life, quite frankly. So that's what keeps me pushing through. And I have humans that I'm responsible for. So I want to make sure that, I'm leaving this world better for them than when I came.
Okay. All right. What's the biggest bit of advice? You've already mentioned that, but what's the biggest bit of advice anyone's ever given you along your journey?
The biggest bit of advice anyone has ever given me. That's a good one. I've gotten a lot of great advice. I won't necessarily say it was advice because it wasn't outright advice, but when I was 14 years old, I was in a group home and the supervisor who worked there, who I eventually wound up like calling my father and was grandfathers to my kids because we had such a close relationship, so he really played the like pseudo dad role. He gave me the art of war and he said to me, I know you'll understand this. Take it, read it, and apply it. And I did. And it changed my formula for thinking and kind of the way that I looked at things so much at that point. So that was like a tremendous change for me mentally. So I'm going to say that was the biggest piece of advice because it made me see things in a whole new lens. I was way more like just reckless, like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care at that point. And he was like, you're going to need to care. Read this book, do things a little bit differently. It was basically like, you're too smart for this. Cut the shit, you know, without having to say any of that. So the book spoke for itself. So Yeah. And shout out to my dad in heaven because he
Okay.
passed away.
All right. Shout out to him. Shout out to him, of course. Yeah, wow. So we definitely learned, of course, your journey growing up in New York to where you are now, and definitely becoming one of the titans in New York City when it comes to music and a foremost authority when it comes to music in New York City. But we're going to have a little fun in the show, okay? We're going to
Okay.
have a game called This or That. And in this or that, I'm going to give you two things. You got to pick one. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. The beach or the pool?
The beach. Are you frozen again?
Can you hear me?
No, you said the beach or the pool. I said the beach.
I was a little frozen, I guess.
Yeah.
The beach. Okay. Got you. Got you.
Yeah, the beach is
Yeah.
my
My apologies. Technical difficulties over here.
It's okay. I'm here for it. That's what editing is for.
Hmm. Got you. Got you. Now, the next thing, Prince or Michael Jackson?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I'm gonna have to go with Prince though, because yeah, Prince. But I love
Yeah.
MJ.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of figured you might go Prince because I see a lot of purple whenever I see you.
Purple elephants.
Yeah. Mhm. Right, right. All right. Fall or spring?
Fall. Fall. October is my birthday month, and fall is the best fashion season because you've got gloves, you've got booties, a little scarf, just little accessories. Love fall.
Okay. All right. I've got a couple music ones to end this one out.
Okay.
Mid condition or after seven? Which group are you taking?
Oh man, that's hard. Um, mint condition. Oh, I don't know. I'm in between, but I said mint condition first, so I'll stand by it. But it could be either one.
All right. Yeah. Both talented groups. Um, the last one, Dougie Fresh or Big Daddy Kane?
Oh, they're so different. Damn. I mean, Big Daddy Kane, but you know, Dougie Fresh with the, I mean, and the beat bopping.
Yeah.
They're totally different lanes. So I don't know if that was a fair one.
Mhm. Well, I will say this with Dougie Fresh, I've actually met him twice. I met him in Nashville when he's being honored at National Museum of African American Music. They were honoring him
Yeah,
along with I believe it was George Clinton at that time. And
nice.
then I met him actually in Las Vegas when I was at the National Association of Black Journalists. We had our convention in Las Vegas, and he was actually performing at the one of the parties. So I actually
Oh,
got to meet him then. So I met him twice.
love, that's great.
All right. Well, that is we have reached the end of this or that,
Wow,
and we have reached the end of the show. It went by fast, right?
it did. It really did. Yes, that was quick, but that's how you know it's good, right? Just
Yeah.
good
Well,
energy, easy conversation.
right, right. So I want to kind of give the platform to you, the floor to you, to kind of tell everyone where they can find you on social media, where they can find VPR Radio as well. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. So thank you so much again, Mike, for having me. You can find me everywhere at Qiana the Goddess, including on reseller platforms like Poshmark, Macari, whatnot, etc. And VPR Radio, we are VPR underscore radio everywhere. We're live every single Thursday at 11 a.m. and we stream virtually now, so you can tune in through YouTube, Facebook, etc. come and find us. And of course, please follow the one and only DJ FMI. That's my partner. Big salute to him. And you can also visit if you're looking for marketing or any sort of fashion consultation, goddessmedianyc.com, and you can reach out to me there.
Yes, yes. For those that don't know, Qiana has her hands in just about everything when it comes to media, fashion. She's got you. All right. So, of course, thank you all for tuning into this episode. Of course, my name is Mike Patton. I'm the host of the show. Of course, you can find this Woman Works on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And we are also at the Mike Patton Network on YouTube. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of This Woman Works. We're out. Peace.